Good morning, Rabbi Isai. Got this beautiful picture taken by a nurse in a hospital.
It's a nurse.
A nurse.
A male nurse.
No. This is a father.
Oh.
This is a father with his baby learning Torah, and a nurse. So it wasn't a staged picture. Dear Rebelli, my wife and I wanted to take a moment to express our deepest gratitude for everything you did to make our wedding in Jerusalem so meaningful and memorable. Having you walk me down the aisle and read the Ketubah was something I will carry with me for the rest of my life. Plus having Avi, Noam, Benny, Dave, and Ari come to celebrate with us made it that much more amazing. Please pass along our warmest thanks to each of them. That so many of the MDY Chaver showed up, said everything about the kind of community I've built around you. It was a profound reminder that Daf Yomi is not just a learning program, it's a brotherhood, and I felt that fully on one of the most important days of my life. I also want you to know, and I don't say this lightly, that the daily practice of Daf Yomi has had a real and lasting impact on me. Discipline of showing up every single day, the rhythm it creates, the way it anchors the day for me, has genuinely made me a better person and a steadier one. Over here is a few compliments. With deep appreciation and warm regards, Glenn and Rivka Hannah Esterson. Both Gary Tzedek. Wilmington, North Carolina. And she's from Brazil. By Yaakov Gross. Oh no, Sender Gross. Dear Rebelli, my name is Sender Gross, Canvey Island, UK, sponsor of Mesechus Menachos. I would like to express my sincere gratitude for everything you and MDY has done for me. The impact that it's had on my life has been tremendous. Before becoming a part of MDY, I barely learned Torah regularly. Listen to this, he barely learned. But today, I try to learn between 4 and 5 hours every day.
Wow.
Attending various shiurim on the phone, online, and of course, the first is MDY from beginning of Sanhedrin. For this I'm truly thankful. No, it's the daf brings other stuff. You just told me before, Sher, you said a Mardik thing, it's probably true. The heavy balabas is a thing of the past. And he said it's because of Ozempic. And I say it's because of the daf. The balabas comes in, he has the daf. He's more consistent with his exercise and his Ozempic. Everything. Yeah.
Oh. We're moving on.
That's not bad. That was not bad. It was not bad.
Very good.
You have to wait in.
Oh. That was even better. Last Thursday, I received a call from Yeshiva in London. Listen to this. Last Thursday, I received a call from Yeshiva in London, asking if they could host a little shishim barbecue at my home. My wife and I were delighted to host them. Shortly before the event, they learned there would be also a siyum by one of the dedicated learners on Mesechus Menachos that was learned by 2 Bachrim and one of the staff with MDY. They learned it in Yeshiva by night seder. The Leil Shishi was attended by around 50 Bachrim and staff from Yeshiva's Mesikas HaTorah. I love that name, Mesikas HaTorah. What made it especially meaningful for me was that I had sponsored Mesechus Menachos, and then merited to host this beautiful siyum in my own home. It felt like a special gift from Hashem and one for a moment of encouragement. Thank you again for all that you do. Your work is making a real difference, and I'm deeply grateful to be part of it. With appreciation, Send it Gross, Canvey Island, UK. You like it?
Yeah, I do.
I'm not going to remember though, so you do me a favor. Send me an email, hopefully, and I'll. Be'emet. Dear Rebbe, just a quick note. I started the daf with you at the beginning of Chullin. Thank you for the chizuk. I like where he's from. Also, very, very out of town. Consistency, the inspiration, the humor. I look forward to meeting you in person someday. Phil Bogart, Baltimore. You guys know Mechi Overlander? Sure. He's the Staten Island, exactly.
Kleine Kinder kunnen maar geen machine, dit had het leren nog. Ik moet Mechi de ambassador voor MDY, dat is laatst ik. Maar dat babysitten brengt hem in de taf schil ook. Dat is. Wow.
Reminds me of Didier.
Mechi, keep it up.
For his daughter. This is the entire email from Benzi Veron. No better nachas. 3 words. Thank you. He sees his son learning Torah. No better nachas. The official edition MDY Shas, the Masechta, by Zev and Yael Sholhoff, Yishkoyach. Their name is on the front of the Gemara. I received a phone call from my shver last night. Doesn't happen very often. He says, I've been using your Gemara and I love it. I love the way it flows easy. And he's a person that does Daf Yomi for years. And he used the art scroll for years. A big bucky in art scroll. Zebin Yael Sholof. It is. He says just the way it flows. You don't have to look at the notes in the bottom. This, and he likes the Lashon. He's giving me all these. Okay, whatever. It doesn't say temple. It's okay. Moses Markovich. What's his name? Somebody said his. I'm saying his name wrong. What is it? Markovich? No. Markovich. Now, if it's not Markovich, he'll let us know. For the Hatzluja of all our children, Moishi. For the Hatzlacha of all our children, Moishi and Ruchi from Mexico. The actual Masechta is sponsored by David Solomon, dedicated in memory of Avi Mari, Reb Shmuel Baruch ben Reb Chaim Tzvi Doiv Zichron Livracha. The Masechta is sponsored by the Politic Family Foundation in gratitude to the consortium and the alliance and all they do to support MDY. Anonymous, says thank you to Chief Benny. Anonymous for a complete refuah shlema and arikas yom Talea Bas Esther, B'Yom Daniel Rosenfeld, Bris V'Simcha, Ari Simon, refuah shlema Avi Mari Baruch B'Miriam, B'Yom Daniel Rosenfeld, Parnas B'Shefa. Anonymous, refuah shlema for Rabbi Yerucham ben Yehudis and Avram Yishaya ben Slava Dvora. Amen. Weekly sponsors, the Banshir sponsors, wishing them the wife family continue at Sloch and Siyat D'Shmaya. Anonymous, Hoidu Lashem Kitoiv, Kila Oilam Chazdoi. Robert Early, Preston Harris Group Recruitment, make money from the shir, give back to the shir. Make money in general and give back to the shir. Yomi Shoner, learning from Robert Early with gratitude to Hashem for everything. Where's Robert? He's not here yet. I wanted to know if he knows who Yomi Shoner is. Learning from Robert Early with gratitude to Hashem for everything. Anonymous, Lilishmas, Daniel Yehuda ben Achaver Yosef Zucker, Yortzeit today in Schos for Avram ben Chana Broch. Anonymous, Lilishmas, David ben Zechariah, Nisim Shapiro, for the merit of Refuah Shlema, for Moshe Yitzchok ben Nina Chaya Shoshana. Koilo, HYK Ventures in the Schos for success of all our clients. And by Binyamin and Danielle Rosenfeld, Brocha B'Parnasa. And the Kids sponsors monthly, Innovations LLC as a Schos for Akivasim ben Fega, and Rivka Yehuda's Bas Yafa Chaya. And the art. For Shlema, Yonatan Eitan ben Bashev Bracha. We went yesterday to visit him, and he really enjoys when people come to visit. So whoever could go visit, Yonatan Eitan, he lives here, and what is it called? Mem Shalosh. For Shlema, Mordechai ben Esther. Do not tell him that you heard it in the shir. For Hayelet, Daniel Zev ben Ayelet Esther. Turning of the daf. Not yet. Rabbi Isai, Mordik, it's Chullin on steroids. Omar Rava. Okay, so there are two halachas that are new to us when it comes to paraduma. One we learned, one we didn't know about. Here's halacha number 2. Halacha number 1 is that as you are shechting the paraduma, you cannot do any other melacha. You can't do anything else besides shechting the paraduma. You can't cut another watermelon at the same time. You can't be oisik with anything. You can't text message anyone. You got to be concentrated on that one task. The other halacha is v'shachat oisa, that you can only shecht one paraduma at the same time. You cannot shecht anything else with it. You can't shecht 2 paradumas. You can't shecht a paraduma and another animal. Therefore, Amarava, shachat para, if he's shechting a paraduma, v'shachat behema acheres ima, and at the same time he's trying to save time, by him trying to save time, he lost $3 million. V'shachat behema acheres ima, l'divrei hakol psula. Everybody will agree that the paraduma is possible because it says v'shachat oisa. Oisa means only it and nothing else. What about the other animal? The other animal is kosher. There's no reason why the other animal should be kosher. Shouldn't be kosher. It's kosher. Top of Lamed Beis, Amud Aleph. Leiv. Nishchato behema acheres imo. Now you have to put in with a pencil. If you shechted another animal without intent of the other animal, let's do this balpeh. It's very gishmak. If you had no intent, you didn't want to shecht another animal. Is it a good shechita or not a good shechita? That was the sugi yesterday. According to Reb Nosson, it's a good shechita. And according to Chachamim, it's not a good shechita. And we're passing like Reb Nosson, it's a good shechita. According to Reb Nosson, that it's a good shechita, and you shechted a parah aduma with it, but by mistake you shechted another black and white cow, it's a good shechita, the black and white cow. So what happens to the parah aduma? Puzzle, because you're not allowed to shech two things at the same time. But according to Chachamim, that the black and white cow is not a good shechita, because you didn't know about it, so you didn't shecht another one with the parah aduma. You only shechted the parah aduma by itself. The nice sliced into the other animal. Oh, and what about the fact that you're not allowed to slice a watermelon? And by you slicing into the black and white cow is like slicing a watermelon. The answer is that if you slice into a watermelon without knowing it, it's not a problem, because you weren't Isaac with it. The problem is when you take off your concentration from the parah aduma and start concentrating on a black and white animal or in a watermelon. But over here you didn't know it was there. So it's not a problem at all. Either way, it's not a problem. So says the Gemara inside, Li Reb Nosson, according to Reb Nosson, that says that you could shecht another animal by mistake and it's a good shechita. So in Mela, it turns out that you just shechted two cows at the same time. Reb Nosson parah psula. And therefore, the parah aduma becomes possible because you're not allowed to shecht two animals at the same time, because it says, V'shachat they saw only one. But what about the black and white cow? The $3 million cow is completely puzzled, throw it out. But the $2,000, whatever it costs, $2,000 cow is completely kosher, because even though you didn't know you're shechting it, it's okay to shecht something without knowing. The Rabban say that you have to have kavana when you shecht. Para kshera. The parah aduma is kosher. Why? Because you didn't shecht anything with it. Why didn't you shecht anything with it? Because behema psula, the black and white is puzzle. So the black and white is puzzle, and the red is kosher because you only shechted. You had kavanah for the red. So it's the opposite halacha. According to Reb Nosson, the black and white kosher, the red puzzle. Shalom aleichem, come in. I think there's a seat right over here. Kum tzarai. And there's also a kid standing in the back. You don't have to stand. There's a seat over here. Come in, tzaddik. Right over here. Underneath the TV, next to Dave, the famous Dave. You sit next to Dave. Says the Gemara, Shita. This whole idea that if you work with the parah aduma, you don't work with the... This is all stuff that we learned. Says the Gemara, Nishchat al-behema acheres le-Reb Nosson et tzrichalei. No, I want to tell you a chiddush in the second black and white cow. I would think that the words v'shachat saw means you could only shech the parah aduma and not a second one. But what does it mean, not a second one? I would think that you can't shecht two red cows together. But when it comes to a black and white cow together with a red cow, it shouldn't affect the red cow. The red cow should be kosher. Kamash malon, that no matter what, it doesn't matter what kind of cow, you cannot shech two at the same time. That's the pshad in B'shachat Eisa. Chodach dlasima, this case right over here, as you're shechting the parah aduma, you cut a watermelon, you cut a gourd. Divrei kol psula. You're not allowed to multitask. It's also to multitask. I heard a very nice vart. What's the lashon? Hadek, hetev, hadek. While you're doing the ketayros, you say these words: hadek, hetev, hadek. The question is, shakol yofel absamin. The voice, the sound is very good. So why don't you say something important, like say Mishnayos. Start saying, start saying Mishnayos, Torah, to the Ketayros. It will be better. And the answer is, you cannot mix Torah with Ketayros. You can't do two things at the same time. You can only do one thing. As soon as you start learning Torah, then you're learning Torah. You're not doing Ketayros. When you do Ketayros, you have to concentrate on Ketayros. So you say things that have to do with Ketayros, even though they're not important words. Hadek, hetev, hadek. When you're shechting a parah aduma,
it's grinding. They're grinding the.
Yeah, you're grinding it, right?
The noise of the grinding. The noise of the grinding, not talking.
No. The noise of the thing. You say these words. Yeah. Omer. He says these words. Okay, from now you'll know. Noob shot.
Leiby says that the Gemara says that he said it. So if Leiby says the Gemara says
Yeah.
it's settled. Leiby said. Wait, so what do you say? Is it he said or not?
No, the saying is that's not a question. He said. He says Shoimer. Hold on. He says it. But they thought that the coil is not the saying. The coil is the machine. Chodach dlasimo. Dirakol psula. Neftechot dlasimo. If it just happened to be cut as you were cutting the thing, you didn't have any intent. That doesn't ruin it. We're learning what the problem with doing something else is. Doing something is not the actual physical doing. Doing is that it takes away from the mind. A person physically cannot do two things. Don't listen to your wives or whatever. You can only focus on one thing at once. That's it. That's all a human being can do. For most human beings. Oh, you already have the doubt.
Talk.
Dibur Yafal Ibsaman says it. Yeah. Says the Mishnah. What happens? What? We have such Talmidei Chachamim. We have people that are mechulik on Achronim, and then we have people that are mechulik on Rishonim. We have people that are mechulik on Gemaras. Nobody. No, I'm just saying we have in this room. I'm not going to go into details. We have people that know better than. So, nafla sakin v'gbia. Rabbi say it happens all the time. A person is shechting. The knife falls out of his hand. Can he continue shechting? What is that called? Shehiyah. What's shehiyah? How much of a pause is considered a pause to ruin the shechita? So we have different cases. Some of them are deliberate. Some of them by mistake. Different things happen to a person. For instance, nafla sakin v'gbia. His knife fell down. Naflu kela v'gbia. One of his garments fell. When I'm learning this, Rabbi Didya tells me, "No, like you'll see in your video." I'm like, what are you talking about? What video? He says, "Listen, you guys, you go through the daf and you look for the most extreme part of the daf." I said, "Okay, whatever." So there's a Maisa Shahaya. I personally don't know the Chassidus, so I could say it. So I hope I'm not insulting anybody. Any of the Chassidim. They say it's a Maisa Shahaya. Let me ask. He's here. Who's Yummy Shoner? You know the guy? Yummy Shoner. He says, learning from Robert yearly with gratitude to Hashem for everything. He learned from you to give money to MDY. You don't even know the guy?
No.
Okay.
That's why I did it. The free publicity from our approval company.
Givaldik. Okay, so there was a Rebbe in the middle of Ishanas. He's holding the Dal Minim, and he's holding his machzor, and all of a sudden he feels that he's going to lose one of his garments. So he like whispers to the Gabbai, Hishana, as mein Häusen soll nicht fallen. So the Gabbai, the Gabbai goes, Hoshano, as mein Häusen soll nicht fallen. And the whole Chassidus, they said it aloud. And then they had a, he was like just whispering to him that it's a Ma'aseh Shaya. I'm telling you it's a Ma'aseh Shaya.
The hole in my sock, it's a Ma'aseh Shaya.
You want sources?
Yeah.
You mechulik on this Ma'aseh? It's Ma'aseh Shaya. Okay, Hishchiz is a sakin. Another Ma'aseh. One that his hoizen might have fallen off, so you have to bend down, you have to stop, shechting, pick up. Hishchiz is a sakin va'of. He was in the middle of sharpening the blade. It takes a lot of strength to sharpen blade. Va'of, and he got really tired. So his friend came and did the shechita for him. So now, how much of a pause is too much? Im shah kedei shechita. If he stopped and waited, the amount of time that it takes to do a full shechita, psula. How much is that? Rabbi Isai, guess how much that is. A behema gasa, how much is that? Be'erech.
3 seconds.
3 seconds. 10 seconds. So I asked Rabbi Avram Weisfish, he gave me some numbers. But obviously, I told him to begin with, I said, what I'm asking you is a chutzpah. I know it makes no sense to ask such a question, but I need some guideline. So he left me maybe 10 minutes worth of messages, going through the whole parasha, and that, there's different countries do different things. The animal could be standing, it could be laying, it could be upside down. Does the shaychet wash the neck, or does somebody else wash the neck? Back and forth, are you pulling, are you this, are you just... And then he says, when it comes to birds, to chickens, he says, in Eretz Yisrael, a lot of the shchitas, they make the shaychet hold on to the chicken. So the shaychet has to grab the wings in a certain way, bend the neck back, so that takes a bunch of time. He says, many places, a guy goes over to you, gives you the thing, just holds it, and you just go, pfft. That could take a second. Some places, the chicken is already on the line. The line is that moving thing. So it just comes as it's moving, you just grab it. It's also less time than when the guy gives it to you. Back and forth, the whole thing. But what it came out, this is like a be'erech sheba be'erech. He says a lot of shchitas don't allow a shaychet to shech more than 10 birds a minute. So that's 6 seconds a bird. Some allow 15. He says the real makbid ones, like the badats, whatever, there's 10. You have Rabbanot that's closer to 14, I think it was. Whatever it is, it's a different number. He says, but it doesn't matter. A good shaychet could do more than that. When it came to behema, like the really large animals, it was a be'erech, and then you check your knife, you look into the simanim. So it came, I'm just throwing this out, it could be it's completely wrong. 1.5 minutes per large animal. Now it could be it's less. If he's just doing halacha vayvad, we're going to see in the Gemara, does it include knocking the animal down to the ground? Obviously it takes a bunch of time to knock an animal down to the ground. That's one shita. That plus the shchita. Or you already have a knocked down animal and you're ready to go. So just for the shear, for today, now nobody hold me to this at all. Just for the shear, we're going to say a bird is 6 seconds and a large animal is 1.5 minutes. Just to l'saber is knife, so we have a little bit to work with. Nothing. We had a whole part of my life, a big part of things that occurred in my life is exactly because of these numbers. There's a whole tumult in my family about how much could you possibly shech, and it took up a large part of my life. Seriously, this idea, without going into details. My kedei shchita. Oh no, sorry. So Rabbi Shimon Omer not going to make it to the book. Baruch Hashem. Rabbi Shimon Omer, imsha no machlokes, a real machlokes because of just this idea. Rabbi Shimon Omer, imsha kedei bikur. Bikur means to check the knife. How long does it take to check a knife? I forgot to ask Rabbi Avram Weisfish. I'm assuming that it's less than the shechita itself. It's going up and down with your nail, and you do it pretty quickly. And we said on the sides. Also, I think if they're good, they can do it in, let's call it 30 seconds, but it's now 1.5 minutes.
Chicken could be faster.
Huh?
Chicken could be faster.
Yeah, and also the Taisus also points out that the depends on the size of the knife, right? There's a small knife. Look at this knife. This knife is, where is it? This blade is tiny compared to the gasa. I mean, it's 1/3 of the size. So to do a bdika on this is 1/3 of the time. Okay. Now I'll just show you this video. Here we go. Rabbi side. This is the whole Mishnah tied into one. K'dei shchita, k'dei bikur. His knife fell. So, if a guy could step in there as he's taking a nap, it says va'of. Hishchas Sasakin, he got tired as he was sharpening the blade, va'af, and he got tired. Another guy came and shachat. So it depends how long it took him. If he moved in quickly, within a minute and a half, let's call it for the behema gasa, so it's good. If not, it's possible. Reb Shimon Oimer, Shakidei Bikor, let's call it 30 seconds. If he was able to get there within 30 seconds, then he did it. How much is shchita? Omar Rav, Kedei shchita as behema acheres. In order to shecht another animal from beginning to end. So we'll call it 1.5 minutes. Omar there Rav Kahana v'Ravasi l'Rav. So Rav Kahana and Ravasi told Rav, Kedei shchita as behema lebehema, v'oif life. While you're shechting animals, I understand it's 1.5 minutes that you get to pause and take a nap. But when you're doing birds, but if it only takes 6 seconds per bird, so maybe you only get 6 seconds. Maybe when you're doing birds, you still get 1.5 minutes. Because there's a shear. There's a shear. It's a Xeris HaKosov. It's a shear. It's a Halakha Meshmesina. You get a Shihiyah is 1.5 minutes. How do you know how much it's the time it takes to shech a behema g'dayla? But even when you're doing birds, you have that 1.5 minutes. Amar lo. So Rav says it's unbelievable lashon here. Lo yahava b'dichno bei b'chavive de'ishayle. I wasn't in a good mood with my uncle. We weren't in good terms. My uncle, me, Rav, and my uncle Reb Chia.
The uncle wasn't.
Okay, the uncle wasn't. Yeah. One of us wasn't in the proper. We weren't in good terms then. He wasn't. In other words, I couldn't ask him the question because of one of our moods.
He says it the way you said it.
It says that lo yahava b'dichno bei b'chavivi. It sounded to me that it was himself. In my. So what he says different than Rashi?
He says, what?
Rashi says that later.
Later on, okay.
Yeah.
Two pshatim. Akoparim, just to remind the Olam, because it's fascinating. Reb Chia had a sister from his mother's side, and he had a brother from his father's side. The sister and the brother were not related. They were both related to him. It was Reb Chia's brother and Reb Chia's sister. That brother and sister got married. That kid would not be accepted to any yeshiva today, but he turned out to be Rav. So that's my uncle, my beloved, my uncle, Reb Chia. I couldn't ask him. I don't know. I never asked him. So, and then the Gemara says a fascinating thing. Itmar, Omer Rav, so he was makbid. He was machmir. He didn't get the answer from his uncle. So he said, I don't know if that's the reason, but he said, no, when you shecht chicken, you don't get the minute and a half. You only get 6 seconds. Ushmuel Amar, afilu behem alive. No, even when you shecht chickens, you get 1.5 minutes. V'chenki also Rav Omer Rabbi Yochanan afilu behem alive. And Rabbi Yochanan also holds, you get 1.5 minutes throughout whatever you shecht. Reb Chanina Amar Kadesh Yovi Behema Acheres V'Yishchoit. Reb Chanina sticks in something. No. You get much more than 1.5 minutes. As long as it takes you to get another animal from somewhere else. Ask the Gemara, it makes no sense. Yovi Afilu Ma'almo. Sometimes you have to go all the way to Brazil. I don't know where exactly. You have to go to Yerushalayim to get an animal. Says the Gemara. On the side of the Dvarach L'Shiurim. That means that it depends where the animal is. Sometimes it's an hour away, sometimes 10 minutes away, sometimes 4 days away. No. It doesn't mean to get another animal. It means to get the other animal down on the ground. So, over here you see Rebbe Avram Weisfish knocking down a 1,000-pound animal, a wild beast, in seconds. Yeah, not a problem for him. But we're talking about a regular human being. L'chayra, it takes, for a cow, it takes a good few minutes. I'm going to assume, until you tie its legs down, until you trip it up, it takes a nice amount of time. So, Rabbi Yochanan says, no, the shear is 1.5 minutes as long as it takes you to shecht. Rabbi Chanina says, no, as long as it takes you to knock an animal down, 5 minutes plus 1.5 minutes. So you get a total of 6.5 minutes. If you take a nap in between, you start checking, you take a nap, you go, you start, whatever you do, you sharpen your knife. You have 6.5 minutes, he says. You got to lift the animal up, knock it down to the ground, v'yishchoit, and to shecht. Daka l'daka, v'gasa l'gasa. So it takes a little bit here. Where was it? Something like this. I don't know if there's... It looks like Meyer. תדע, יש לי רעיון. תגיד לי, יושי, על מאיר. Okay. Omar Rava. Hashoiche b'sakin ra. Guy uses a really bad blade. It cuts, but it takes some time to cut. Afilu kol hayoim kuloi ksheira. Even if a person shechs all day long, as long as he's cutting, he's making progress, kosher.
Hey, you Israeli driver, Lemata Mahova, this Asefni Shechata will change your life. Look at this car, Uto Yakur Mechop, very sharp, very da, Chatta Maho Maho. Only $5 in Timi, Kame Exen, Oshai Boka.
Alto Juanelo Adoptar, Dios mío, Vasco Vilu Picantono, para Maqueno Cucolchono. Hoy se llora mi warming.
Good morning, Rabbi Isai.
Saba, stop. It no cut cow. Very bad knife. Maybe order new knife on AliExpress.
The famous Lincoln line. He says, you give me 6 hours to cut down a tree, I'll take 4 hours to sharpen the axe and 2 hours to cut the tree. In other words, the preparation is the yesod of everything. The more you prepare, the better the outcome. You can sit there with a dull axe and try to cut down a tree. It'll take you 4 days. But if you spend the time to sharpen the axe, it'll only take you 2 hours. Huh? Say it all the time. I was in construction for a very long time. The more time the guy's prepped, like let's say for painting or whatever it is, especially in painting, let's say, they put tape around the windows. The more prep, they took doors out, whatever they had, the plates on the electric. It was a much better job versus just coming in, start painting. You smear up the ceiling and the windows. Then you have to spend all this time to clean the window. If you prep well, then Azoyas.
Not like over there.
No, over here it's nervine. A guy like me walks into any building and starts. It's very hard for me to walk around here. So you have to get a good painter. You get what you pay for. That's the bottom line in all these things. Just remember that. You hear what I'm telling you? Anybody doing construction, you get what you pay for. If you have a cheaper contractor, you're not saving money. You get what you pay for. You're going to pay for it in another way, somewhere else. When you have to change out a whole door because of this and that, it costs more money than the other guy wanted to begin with. Anyway, and aggravation is also part of it. Fine. Weiter. Zog the Gemara. Boy Rava. Shihio ismao starfu. Unbelievable. Let's say you get a minute and a half to pause. So what if you pause for a half a minute at 9 o'clock? A half a minute at 10 o'clock, and another half a minute at 11 o'clock. He's going all day long. So he wants to take a little break. He's tired. His arm is falling off. So he pauses. But he knows that you're not allowed to pause for 1.5 minutes. But if you set a timer, does it accumulate? Does the Shias accumulate? And of course, I'm not going to go into the whole Vard. We'll just do Chazara. Everybody knows the Vard. One of the most famous Vards of all time, Reb Chaim Shmulevitz. 12 plus 12 doesn't equal 24. It's Panovich math. It's not Rav Gifter, it's Reb Chaim Shmulevitz. It's such a famous Vard that you can't even make a mistake on this one. It's Reb Chaim Shmulevitz. I saw it inside 24 times. At least. I just can't tell you what sicha, but it's there. I guarantee you it's there. Yeah. Tzvelev plus tzvelev. Fine. It could be he said it over. A lot of people don't. In 10 years from now, they'll say Eli Stefansky said it. Oh, it's from Chaim Shmulevitz. In other words, if you take a pause, anytime you take a pause, I say this because I say this to myself, it hurts a lot. Yesterday, Noam Fix called me a middle seder. I ignored it. Ignore. Because when you, I'm telling you, ignore. I can't. It's not shy. Answering one message takes you out for 10 minutes. Just you're in a zone, you're concentrating, all of a sudden you have to answer some shtus. And that's just nature. It's all shtusim, he'll be massing. It's all shtusim compared to the Gemara. It's shtus. The worst is, it's Yossi Klein got to deny, so he goes to Noam, maybe Noam can get through. So it's 2. I get 2 for the same message. Zok the Gemara.
But you gave me the recipe.
What's the what? You want to know how to make the special sauce that goes together with the gefilte fish. No, I'm just kidding. The recipe. Yeah, I know recipes. You take 2 eggs and you go like this. That's the only thing I can do. Scrambled egg. Zog the Gemara. Oh. Boira, she's my gistar. Didn't you just say that a guy is shechting all day long with a bad knife? Obviously, he's going to take a pause there. How do you go 24 hours straight without taking a pause? So you see, pauses do not accumulate. Otherwise, how did he do it? Says Gemara, what do you mean? Husband delay shah. I'm talking about he shechted all day long, non-stop. But if he stopped, maybe it's bad. So this is unbelievable. We had a very similar question 2 days ago. A guy takes a knife and he shechs. Where's my new pipe? I have a gewaldika behema gasa trachea. He shechs. Let's say, that amount. He shech the roiv. It's perfect. Is it a good shchita? It's a good shchita. He shech the roiv. Now he waits 2 minutes. He waits 2 minutes, 2 full minutes, which is more than 1.5 minutes that you're allowed. And then he puts the knife in the same exact thing, and he goes weiter, and he shechs more. Problem or not a problem? So l'chayra, what's the problem? What? He shechted already. But whoever was paying attention 2 days ago, we had the same exact question by Chalada. What happened by Chalada? The Gemara asked the same question. He did roiv. It was a perfect shechita. And then he sticks the knife in, he buries it, and then he goes weiter. So what's the question? What was the Gemara's question? He already did a whole shechita. So Rashi explains, because it's one long shechita, and he messed up at the tail end. So over here also, he did a shechita. If he would have stopped and gone home, it would have been perfect. The problem is he continued. Who asked you to continue? You continued and you did a shehiyah in between. Because it's a problem. Listen to this, and Rashi says here something unbelievable. He sticks in here, Venera, listen to this. A guy, it happened to me, I saw with my own eyes. A guy shechted a cow, and they're on to the next cow. They don't wait, so they release him from the box. The cow stood up and started running around the place. His head gushing, everything. Guys are running out of the way. They're holding on. They're like the legs are in the air, holding on to machines. A guy pulls out a gun, starts shooting. Don't ask. It was a mess. So what do you do in such a situation? I'm not joking. It's sakanas nefashis. A cow out of control, sakanas nefashis. Smash you into a piece of metal over there. People were hanging, dangling, screaming. They have a system. A guy, literally, they're taking out weapons. Boom, boom, boom. Crazy. So, Venera, the Shaykh and Rav Simanim says Rashi, we're talking about a bird here. He sees Tsar Belachayim, the bird is going crazy. The bird is not dying. So he has a Mardik Eitza. He's going to take a knife, same knife he's holding in his hand, and continue to give him a shechita, knock his head off. Finish off the job. You're not allowed to go back to that place. The mutav shiyaka al atzaver. Give him a whack in the head, but don't go back to that place. Because you go back to the place, the Gemara says teku. The Gemara says, I don't know what the halach is. A fascinating halacha. Huh? You did a complete shechita. And everybody says, hey, it's 100% good. It's kosher v'yasher. You can eat the bird right now. No, but if you continue, you make it worse. So you have a bird that's out of control. Make sure you don't cut it in the neck. Reb Shimon says that Reb Shimon argues. He says it's not kedei shchita, it's kedei bikor. It's checking the knife. My kedei bikor, how much is that? Omer Reb Yochanan kedei bikur shel chacham. You got to go all the way to the chacham in the city. Every chacham lives in a different place. Sometimes you have to travel 2 hours to get to the chacham. So is it a 2-hour thing? Sometimes he's in your building. You get lucky. You live right next to. I went to Rebusher Weiss. Knocked on the door next door. She says he lives right over here. What a schus it is to live next to him. A whole thing. Sometimes you have a schus. You live mamish next to the Golad Dar, to Gadol, to whatever. It's 1 minute, 10 seconds. What is it? It's if he himself, the shaykhid himself, knows the halachas. So how long does it take him to shecht and then go with his finger like this? Whatever that is, 30 seconds, you get 30 seconds. Says the Mishnah. So let's do this Baal Peh for a second. You come to an animal and you see that his trachea, this is the breathing pipe, is completely disconnected. And then you go ahead and you shecht this pipe, one pipe. What do you just do? Is the animal kosher to eat? Absolutely not. You didn't shecht this pipe. This pipe was already disconnected. The big question of the Mishnah is, how do we view the animal? Did the shechita help at all? Because a lot of times shechita helps to remove tumah. If it has a hole in the heart and you shechted it, then it's great. It's a good shechita. You can't eat the animal, but there's no tumah. What if it doesn't have a hole in the heart? It has a removed trachea. It's popped out of its place, and you shecht one siman. Did you remove the tumah? No. What do you guys say? You say no. You say no. Anybody say yes? Rebbe Akiva says yes for a second. Then he takes it back. Shachad es haveshet. We're moving on to different halachas now. It's called ikur, to pop out a siman. He shechted the esophagus, the eating tube. Then he messed up on the trachea, on the breathing tube. He as he's shechting it, he popped it out. He did something wrong with the knife, so he only shechted really 1 out of the 2 simanim. Or he started out really bad. Here. Oh, this is nishma. This is not good for us. I wanted to show where he popped it out himself. Okay, it's one of the halachas. This next one maybe. Bekitzer, he didn't have trachea to deal with. He only has the esophagus. He shechted the esophagus. Or he only shechted 1 out of the 2. It's a funny noise the speakers are making up there. Oh, it's the coffee machine. Sorry. Or he only shechted 1 out of the 2. Obviously, you shecht 1 out of the 2. It's nothing. It's not a good shechita. But the question here is not whether it's a good shechita. The question is it a nevela or a treifa? A nevela has tumas mago mas. If you touch it, you become tummy. You carry it, you become tummy. You did chalada. What's chalada? You hid the knife. Let's see. You see over here, the knife is hidden. It's underneath it's underneath both simanim. It's hidden. And then he goes, after it's hidden, he goes and he goes in an upward motion. It's the wrong motion. Instead of coming down from the trachea downwards, he goes from the esophagus upwards. Upsakoi. Rabbi Sheva v'omer nevela. Rabbi Sheva says this is not a valid shechita. If it's not a valid shechita, the animal is a real nevela. It's like a dead horse, a dead cat, a dead cow. It gives tumah. Rabbi Akiva v'omer treifa. No. At the end of the day, he performed shechita here, and therefore removes shechita. So Rabbi Sheva says a rule. Klal Rabbi Sheva, Mishum Rabbi Shua. Kol shenifsel b'shechita so nevela. As you're performing the shechita, you create a nevela. You create if you did a psul as you perform a shechita, then the animal's a nevela. So over here, you performed a shchita and you realized you messed up on the trachea. You ripped the trachea out of its place before the esophagus. After the esophagus, only the trachea. It was during shchita, so it turns into a nevela. Let's say I had a hole in the heart, but you did a great shchita. The garden lipuzzle treifa. If that's this, the other thing caused the hole in the heart caused it to be possible, but it was a good shchita, then it's a treifa and there's no tuma. Says the Mishnah of Ahoida Loi Rebbe Kiva. Rebbe Kiva admitted to Rebbe Shevav that you're right. You are right. In other words, if I mess up during shchita, there's no machlokes anymore. Everybody agrees it's an avela and there's tuma. Says the Gemara, Shochat Desaveshet V'Hoida Loi Rebbe Kiva V'Rimini. We have to remember these three words over here, these two words. Elu treifos. That's the next perek, coming up in 10 days. Part of it I'm going to be in Austria, but it's a Gevaldiga perek. We want to do, even before that, we want to do a live demonstration of all the treifos, of all the animal innards, Be'ezer Hashem. It's going to be soon. It might even be tomorrow. We'll see what happens. It might even be tonight. So get ready.
It might be right now.
It might be right now.
It's happening already.
Here we go.
You never know with MDY. Shalom Aleichem, what's your name? From where? Shalom Aleichem. Who else is brand new here? He's kind of new for me. Eli's mom's not brand new. Okay. 2 days. Very impressed. Very impressed. Viramini. What do we say? Rabbi Isai. If you find a damaged trachea and you shecht, you made a nevela according to everybody. Rabbi Kiva admits, Rabbi Sheva for sure said it. Elu treifos. There are 16 types of treifos, the Mishnah says, and the first two talk about a hole in the esophagus and a messed up trachea. And it calls it treifos, not a nevela. We just said it's a nevela. So we have a contradiction that we're going to be dealing with until the end of the shir today. A contradiction. On the one hand, our Mishnah calls it a nevela. On the other hand, it's elu treifos. It's a treifa. Nikov is avesh. The psukas gargeres. If the gargeres, the kana, the trachea, the breathing pipe is dislocated, it's a treifa. So that's the question. The answer, we're going to have a few different answers here. Turning to the Daf, our global specialist in international financial services, and Chaim Milrad, Linishmasim Mirasi, Fraleto Bas, Yitzchak Leashal. Says what? Okay, that's attempt number one. We're gonna see before that that's not true. Amarava, like Asha, Kan, our Mishnah, Sheshachat, L'B'Seif Pasak. He did a nice shchita on the esophagus, and then he dislocated the kana, the trachea. Kan Shepasak, and the Gemara is going to explain. Kan Shepasak. First, he disconnected the kana, the breathing pipe, and then he shechted the eating tube, the esophagus. That what? If he started out nicely, he did a nice shchita on the esophagus, and then he disconnected the trachea, nefsels b'shchiti. So that's a nevela according to everybody. Why? Because the psul happened while he's shechting. While he's shechting, then according to everybody, it's a nevela. It gives tumah. But pasak, that's what Noam was saying. Pasak l'b'seif shachat, if it was disconnected first, and then he shechted, kidovar acher gorem lo l'pasal damya. We view it as if this animal had a problem. Sometimes it has a problem with the heart. Sometimes it has a problem with the trachea. It has nothing to do with the shechita. And then you went and you shechted the esophagus, then it's a treifa. The problem is, Eisvei Rav Acha bar Huna l'Rava, it can't be. Why? Because our Mishnah says differently. It says, Shachades haveshet, if you shechted the esophagus, the feeding pipe, upasek esagageres, and then he dislocated the trachea. But then what does it say? Pasek esagageres. He first, you're trying to say that this case, pasek esagageres, if the trachea was, was dislocated first, then it's called a treifa. But it says in our Mishnah, pasek esagageres. The trachea was dislocated first. In the Vela, it says mefurish. What?
Let's just talk about what you did both. Just which one did
No. That's in a second. That's in a second. But pasuk is gageres. Oh, you're saying a different thing. You're saying that. Okay, fine. Okay, but akalpanim bagashol saveshet nevela. It's an avela, not a treifa. It says mefurish that if the gargeres was dislocated first, you dislocated the gargeres, and then you shechted the esophagus. It's an avela, not a treifa. Don't tell me that's the case of a treifa when it says mefurish it's an avela. Maybe he's talking about that he already shechted the esophagus. The problem is then it would be exactly the same case, and that's what the Gemara asks. Well, you'll say that in our Mishnah, one was together simultaneously, and one was one after the other. It's a nice doichak, but it doesn't really work. Why? Then you're saying the same case twice. It says mefurish that after the esophagus came after the trachea came the esophagus. It didn't happen in the reverse. It happened first kana, then esophagus. So Rav himself has another pshat that the next parak, Elu Treifos, you have to understand it as not Elu Treifos. It's not 16 only Treifos. What it really means is Elu Asuros. These are the ones that are asur to eat. Some of them are treif, some of them are nevela. Don't be medayik in the word treif. El Asur is done. Yes, nevela. Treifos. Out of the 16, some of them are in fact nevela. For instance, that if you damage the trachea first and then the esophagus, then it's an avela. It's not a treifa.
18.
The problem is that if you 18, okay, 18, but check them out. I don't know. I thought it was 16. So the problem is that you're opening up a can of worms, so to speak. Now you're introducing that the next that parak also talks about nevelas. So guess what? I have a bunch of other nevelas that's not mentioned in the Mishnah. I saw Gistra nevela, this famous Gistra, the cow that walks onto a bus, half a cow. Here's a beautiful question. Here, where's this picture? This guy, it's missing, take a look, it's missing its entire thigh, and when it sits down, you can see a hole. This cow is mooing away, it's in a lot of pain, I get it, the whole thing. If you touch it, do you become tamei? It's alive, right? Wrong, you become tamei. It's halachically it's dead. Pelip loim. You learn a lot of stuff in Daf Yomi. Exactly, you can't bring it to hospital Shabbos. Okay. Kikatani says the Gemara. Kikatani nevela loy mitamim mechayim. The Mishnah of Elu Treifos only talks about animals, normal animals that are nevela after they're dead, not when they're alive. Ava nevela de mitamim mechayim a pelip loim. This animal over here, it's winking at you. It's wearing a hat. It's mamish. It could be walking around. If you touch it, you become tamei. Ava nevela de mitamim mechayim loy katani. Next, okay, so that's one pshat. Reb Shimon Lakish Omar. I have another pshat. In our Mishnah, it's talking about, take a look, there's already a nice incision right over here. And he goes and he takes a knife, do it lefty, it's very dangerous, takes a knife and continues the incision. Guess what? It's as if you didn't even shecht this pipe. This pipe doesn't even exist because it's already shechted. And then you shechted this guy, the esophagus. Okay, so you shechted one pipe. It's as if you only shechted one pipe. But the next mission is talking about, so that's an avela. Because you only shechted one pipe, it's an avela. But the next Mishnah, when it's a treifa, is talking about this is open over here. So you didn't cut over here, you cut right over here, another place completely. And memela, that's considered a treifa. It's possible during the shechita you're doing an avela. But if you shecht in another place, it's as if it had another mum somewhere. It has a hole in the heart. Over here it has a hole in the trachea. Who cares? You're doing a shechita in another place and you're machshering the tumah. You're getting rid of the tumah because you're doing a full shechita in another place on the trachea. I asked the Gemara a very simple question, and that's it for today. How come Rav Shimon Lakish says something else himself? He says something else. Take a look at this. Just little simple science over here, yeah? For people that don't know. This is the trachea. The trachea leads right into what? Into the lungs. So what if a person takes the trachea and chops it in half. In other words, it's called shchita. Cuts it in half. Then before he gets to the veshet, before he gets to the esophagus, he takes a screwdriver and punctures the lung. Makes a bunch of the shoichet, the bite that takes the lungs, they blow it up to see if there's any sirchus. He finds 3 screwdriver holes in the lung. Is the animal treif or not treif? The animal is not treif. Why is it not treif? Because he already cut the kana. So when you cut the kana, you could remove it halachically from the animal. Pretend there's no kana in the body. And the fact that you cut a lung that's connected to the kana, it has no significance anymore. If you stabbed it in the heart, then you made it a treifa. But there's no lungs. The lungs are in a box. The lungs are out of the animal already. How? By you cutting the kana, you remove the lungs. He calls it it's not a problem to poke the lung. As if you put it in a basket. When you shechted, when this kana has a giant hole like this, so this kana is already removed from the animal. It's in a basket. So you go and you start cutting over here, down here. Who cares? It's as if you poked a hole in the lung. This is not even in the animal anymore. So you didn't do a shchita. So maybe I don't like the teretz. So I have another very, very simple answer. Again, we have a contradiction in the 2 Mishnayos. In our Mishnah it says that if you uproot the trachea first and then the esophagus, it's an avela. In Elu Treifus, the second case in the Mishnah calls it a treifa. So he says very good. The second Mishnah is before he took it back. Before Rebbe Kiva took it back. We know that in our Mishnah, Rebbe Kiva retracted he also said in our Mishnah it's a treifa. Then he retracted. He said, I have charata. It's an avela. So don't ask me that in one place it says nevela, one place it says treifa. The one place that says nevela is when Rebbe Kiva said in our Mishnah, he took it back and he calls it a nevela. But that place, Elu Treifas, is a Mishnah that was written before Rebbe Kiva retracted. It took him years to retract, and he calls it a treifa. When people learn things about pen, not like in our days, everything's about peh. You give a kid a Mishnah, then another Mishnah. If you take out a Mishnah, it'll confuse him completely. Adult also. You can't take out words from a song. You're not going to be able to continue. How are you going to continue? When everything's about peh, you just leave it as is, and you know that that's a mistake. And the real one is, if trachea first, and then esophagus is called a nevela, not a treifa. Rabbi Sai, have a wonderful day.
Merit the schus of spreading Torah throughout the world. Sponsor a shir today. MDYsponsor.com or sponsor at MDYDaf.com.